The silence stretched across the bridge of the Defiance like a held breath. Captain Elena Vasquez stared at the tactical display, watching the debris field that had moments ago been the hegemony's third fleet. 4 to 7 capital ships, reduced to glowing fragments drifting through space near the abandoned Sol system. "Confirm the readings, Chen," Elena whispered, her knuckles white as she gripped the command chair. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Chen's fingers danced across her console, her face pale in the blue glow. "Confirmed, Captain. All 4 to 7 vessels destroyed. No survivors detected. The energy signature." She paused, swallowing hard. "It matches nothing in our databases." Elena closed her eyes. 300 years since humanity had fled Earth after the Convergence Wars, and now something had emerged from that graveyard system to annihilate the Empire's most advanced fleet. The implications sent ice through her veins. "Show me the footage again," she commanded. The main screen flickered to life, displaying the intercepted transmission from a dying hegemony cruiser. Through the static and radiation interference, they watched the impossible unfold. A massive vessel, sleek and dark as the void itself, materialized from the asteroid field around Earth's moon. Its hull bore the faded insignia of the old Terran Defense Force, but its design was unlike any human ship in the historical archives. The ship, over 3 kilometers long and bristling with weapon arrays that seemed to bend light around them, had moved with predatory grace. When it fired, reality itself appeared to tear. Streams of energy that looked more like controlled black holes had reached across space, and wherever they touched the hegemony vessels, matter simply ceased to exist. 30 seconds, Chen reported. That's all it took to eliminate an entire battle group. Elena's communications officer, a young man named Torres, looked up from his station. "Captain, we're receiving encrypted transmissions from resistance cells across 7 sectors. Word is spreading fast. They are calling it a miracle. Or the end of everything," muttered Chief Engineer Patel from the engineering station. His weathered face showed the strain of years fighting the Empire's expansion. "What kind of weapon just makes matter dissipate? That's not technology, that's something else entirely." Elena stood, her decision crystallizing. The Resistance had been losing this war for decades, pushed back to the galaxy's outer rim while the hegemony Empire consumed world after world. Their small fleet of salvage ships and outdated weapons couldn't match the Empire's industrial might. But now, something had changed the equation. "Set course for Earth," she ordered. The bridge erupted in shocked voices. Chen spun in her chair. "Captain, Earth is quarantined. The radiation levels, the unstable quantum fields left over from the convergence." "I know the risks." Elena's voice cut through the protests. "But we need to know what that ship is and why it attacked the Empire. If there's even a chance it could be an ally." "What if it's not?" Dr. Yuki Tanaka, the ship's xenobiologist and strategist, stepped forward. Her usually calm demeanor showed cracks of concern. "What if whatever destroyed that fleet sees us as enemies too?" Elena met her gaze steadily. "Then we'll die learning something that might save the Resistance." "Chen, how long to reach the Sol system?" 18 hours at maximum full drive. "Make it 12. I want every department running diagnostics on our stealth systems. If that ship can detect us." She didn't need to finish the sentence. As the crew rushed to carry out her orders, Elena remained on the bridge, staring at the tactical display. The debris field continued to expand, carrying with it the dreams and nightmares of an empire that had seemed unstoppable just hours ago. Torres approached cautiously. "Captain, there's something else. We intercepted a transmission fragment from the mysterious ship before it disappeared back into Earth's shadow. It was heavily encrypted, but our computers managed to decode a single word." "What word?" "Lazarus." Elena felt the universe shift around her. She knew that name from the classified archive she'd studied during her intelligence days. Project Lazarus, humanity's last desperate gambit during the Convergence Wars. A weapon so terrible that Earth's leaders had chosen to abandon their homeworld rather than use it. But according to every record, Lazarus had never been completed. "How long until we reach Earth?" she asked again. 11 hours, 40 minutes, Chen replied. Elena nodded grimly. In less than 12 hours, they would either find salvation or doom. The ghost of humanity's past had awakened, and she intended to discover whether it remembered the difference between friend and enemy. The Defiance turned toward humanity's birth world, carrying its crew into the heart of a mystery that would determine the fate of the galaxy. The Sol system looked like a monument to destruction. As the Defiance dropped out of fold space at the system's edge, Elena stared at what remained of humanity's birthplace. The outer planets hung like broken toys in their orbits, their surfaces scarred by weapons that had cracked worlds. Jupiter's great red spot had been replaced by a swirling vortex of exotic matter that bent starlight into impossible colors. Radiation levels are actually within acceptable parameters, Jen reported, surprise evident in her voice. The quantum instabilities have somehow stabilized since the last survey probe 3 decades ago. Elena frowned. The convergence wars had poisoned this system with weapons that rewrote the laws of physics. Nothing should have survived, let alone improved. Life signs. Negative on conventional scans. But Captain. Chen's voice trailed off as new data flooded her screens. I'm detecting massive energy sources throughout the system. They are dormant, but the power levels are off the charts. Dr. Tanaka moved to the science station, her fingers flying over the controls. These readings don't make sense. There are structures hidden in the asteroid belt, on Luna, even in Earth's upper atmosphere. They are using some kind of stealth technology that makes our cloaking systems look primitive. Elena studied the tactical display as her ship crept deeper into the system. Earth hung before them like a blue-green jewel, seemingly untouched by the devastation that had consumed its neighbors. But she knew appearances could be deceiving. There, Torres called out. 200,000 kilometers off Earth's bow. I'm picking up the same energy signature that destroyed the Imperial fleet. The main screen shifted to show a section of apparently empty space. Then Chen adjusted the sensors, and reality shimmered. The Lazarus materialized like a predator emerging from shadow. Even at this distance, Elena could feel the ship's presence like a weight against her mind. It's beautiful, whispered Ensign Park from the navigation station. Elena had to agree. The Lazarus possessed an alien elegance that human engineering had never achieved. Its hull seemed to flow like liquid metal, and weapon ports opened and closed like breathing organs. This wasn't just a ship, it was something alive. Captain, Chen's voice was tight with concern. It's turning toward us. Elena's blood chilled as the massive vessel began to rotate, bringing its forward weapons to bear on the Defiance. At this range, their stealth systems were useless. Whatever intelligence controlled the Lazarus had already detected them. All stop. Power down weapons and engines, Elena ordered. Send a standard first contact protocol on all frequencies. Captain, if that thing fires, Patel began. We'll die before we know it, Elena finished. But if we run or fight, we guarantee it. Sometimes the only choice is trust. The seconds crawled by like hours. The Lazarus completed its turn, its weapon arrays glowing with the same reality-bending energy that had erased the Imperial fleet. Elena could see her reflection in the darkened screens around the bridge, her face pale but determined. Then, impossibly, a voice spoke from their communications array. It was human, male, elderly, tinged with an accent Elena couldn't place. Terran vessel Defiance, registry number ISF 2847, commanded by Captain Elena Maria Vasquez. You are cleared for approach. Follow the beacon to docking bay 7. Elena exchanged glances with her crew. The voice had known her full name, her ship's registry, details that weren't in any public database. This is Captain Vasquez of the Resistance ship Defiance. Identify yourself. A pause. Then, I am Admiral Marcus Webb, Terran Defense Force. Welcome home. Elena's legs nearly gave out. Marcus Webb had been humanity's greatest military strategist, the architect of their last stand during the Convergence Wars. According to every historical record, he had died when Earth was evacuated 3 centuries ago. That's impossible, Dr. Tanaka breathed. Marcus Webb is dead. The voice chuckled, a sound filled with infinite weariness. Death is a relative concept, Dr. Tanaka. I've been waiting for you. All of you. The Resistance, the scattered children of Earth, coming home at last. Elena found her voice. Admiral Webb, if that's really who you are, you need to know. The Empire controls most of the galaxy. Billions live under their tyranny. Today's attack on their fleet was the first real victory we've had in decades. I know, Captain. I've been watching, waiting for the right moment to act. The hegemony empire believes itself invincible, but they've never faced what humanity truly became in those final days. A navigational beacon appeared on their screens, leading toward Earth's moon. Elena hesitated. This could be a trap, an elaborate deception. But the alternative was returning to a losing war with nothing to show for their journey. "Follow the beacon," she ordered. As the Defiance moved deeper into the system, passing through defensive fields that made their instruments sing with harmonic resonance, Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they were traveling backward through time. The further they went, the more the system revealed its hidden secrets: orbital platforms that defied physics, automated shipyards constructing vessels of impossible design, and everywhere, the signatures of technology that transcended human understanding. "Captain," Jen whispered as they approached Luna's dark side, "I'm detecting over 200 vessels hidden in the lunar shadow. They are all using the same technology as the Lazarus." Elena stayed at the readings. A ghost fleet, waiting in humanity's graveyard. Whatever Project Lazarus had truly been, it was far more than a single weapon. It was humanity's final evolution, preserved in the cold depths of space for 3 centuries. And now, it was awake. Docking Bay 7 was a cathedral of impossible engineering. As the Defiance settled onto the deck plates, Elena marveled at the chamber's dimensions, easily large enough to hold a dozen ships their size, with walls that seemed to extend beyond the boundaries of normal space. The artificial gravity felt different here, more natural than the mechanical pull of standard generators. "Atmospheric composition is Earth normal," Jen reported. "Temperature optimal for human life. It's like stepping back in time." Elena gathered her senior staff, Chen, Dr. Tanaka, Patel, and Torres, for the landing party. The airlocks cycled with a subtle musical tone, and they stepped into an environment that spoke of home in ways Elena hadn't expected. The air smelled of rain and growing things, impossible on a space station but unmistakably real. Admiral Webb waited for them in the corridor beyond. Elena's breath caught in her throat. He looked exactly as he did in the historical vids, tall, silver-haired, with eyes that seemed to hold the weight of worlds. But there was something else, a quality that made her skin prickle with unease. "Captain Vasquez." His voice carried the same timbre they'd heard over comms, but now Elena could hear the subtle harmonics beneath it, like multiple voices speaking in perfect unison. "You and your crew have my gratitude for making this journey." Elena stepped forward, fighting the urge to salute. "Admiral Webb, I have to ask, how are you alive? Our records show you died during the final evacuation." Webb's smile held shadows. "I did die, Captain. But death, as I mentioned, is relative. The Convergence Wars changed many things, including our understanding of consciousness, identity, and the nature of existence itself." Dr. Tanaka moved closer, her scientific curiosity overriding caution. "You're not human anymore." "I'm more than human," Webb corrected gently, "as are all of us who remained behind. We couldn't leave Earth defenseless, you see. Someone had to guard the legacy, to preserve what humanity could become when necessity demanded evolution." He gestured for them to follow, leading them through corridors that defied architectural logic. The walls displayed images of Earth in its prime, cities that had never been built, forests that glowed with bioluminescent life, oceans teeming with creatures that existed nowhere in nature. Project Lazarus wasn't just a weapon, Webb explained as they walked. It was humanity's attempt to transcend our limitations. We took our greatest minds, our most dedicated soldiers, our deepest dreamers, and we merged them with technologies we discovered in the ruins of older civilizations. Elena felt ice in her veins. The archaeological sites, the xenotech discoveries that started the Convergence Wars. Precisely. We found remnants of species that had faced extinction and chosen transformation over death. Technologies that could reshape matter, consciousness, reality itself. But using them required sacrifice, the death of individual identity in service of collective transcendence. They entered a vast observation deck where Earth filled the viewports. The planet looked pristine, untouched by the devastation that had consumed the outer system. Cities of crystal and light dotted the continents, connected by streams of energy that pulsed like arteries. 20 million volunteers, Webb continued, his voice thick with memory. Scientists, soldiers, artists, philosophers. They gave up their individual existence to become something greater. We are the sum of their knowledge, their dreams, their determination to protect what humanity could be. Patel stepped back, his face pale. "You're a collective consciousness, a hive mind." "We prefer synthesis," Webb replied. "Each individual component retains their co-identity while contributing to the greater whole. I am Marcus Webb, but I am also Dr. Sarah Kim, the quantum physicist who solved dimensional folding. I am Captain Joao Santos, who developed our neural integration protocols. I am all of them, and they are all me." Chenzen moved instinctively to her sidearm. "The ship that destroyed the Imperial fleet, that was you." "The Lazarus is our body, Captain Chen, as are the other vessels hidden throughout the system. We became the weapons humanity needed, the guardians of its future. For 3 centuries, we've watched and waited, allowing the scattered children of Earth to grow and learn in the wider galaxy." Elena found her voice. "Then why reveal yourselves now? Why attack the Empire?" Webb turned from the viewport, and in his eyes Elena saw depths that no single human could possess. "Because the hegemony empire has begun using weapons derived from the same ancient technologies that created us. They are close to developing synthesis technology of their own, but without the ethical constraints that guided our transformation." Dr. Tanaka's face went white. "They are trying to create their own collective consciousness." "Weiss, they seek to impose their will on all sentient beings, to transform the galaxy into an extension of their emperor's mind. We've seen the preliminary experiments on their prison worlds. Billions of souls crushed into mechanical compliance." Elena felt the universe shift around her. The Empire's recent behavioral modification programs, their new unity protocols that turned rebellious populations into docile citizens. She'd thought it was just advanced propaganda. But this, "You offering alliance," she realized. Webb nodded. "Humanity's children face extinction or enslavement. We offer a third option, synthesis freely chosen, power shared rather than imposed, the strength to stand against tyranny while preserving the diversity that makes consciousness beautiful." Torres spoke for the first time since boarding. "What would it cost us?" Webb's expression grew somber. "Everything you are, and everything you could become. The choice to remain individual or join our collective consciousness. Either path has value, but only together can we hope to preserve freedom in this galaxy." Elena stared at Earth, at the impossible cities below, at the future humanity had built in isolation. The weight of command had never felt heavier. Her decision here would determine not just the fate of her crew, but of every free being in the galaxy. "Show us," she said finally. "Show us what synthesis really means." The synthesis chamber lay at the heart of the Lazarus, a spherical room that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Elena stood at its center with her senior staff, surrounded by walls that showed glimpses of other realities, other possibilities. "Before you make any decisions," Admiral Webb said, his form flickering between solid matter and pure energy, "you must understand what you're truly facing." The chamber filled with holographic displays, showing star systems across the galaxy. But these weren't the maps Elena knew. Red zones spread like infection across formerly free worlds, and at the center of each zone pulsed a structure that hurt to look at directly. "Unity nodes," Webb explained. "The Empire's synthesis facilities. They've been testing their collective consciousness technology on prison populations for months." "What?" The display focused on a world Elena recognized, New Brasilia, where her younger brother had lived before the Empire's occupation. The planet's surface was covered by geometric patterns that seemed to move when she wasn't looking directly at them. Cities had been restructured into perfect grids. And the people? Elena's stomach lurched. The people moved in perfect synchronization, millions of individuals walking, working, and living in mechanical unison. Their faces were blank, peaceful, empty of any spark that made them human. 37 billion people, Webb said quietly, all thinking the same thoughts, feeling the same emotions, saving the same will. This is the Empire's vision of peace. Dr. Tanaka stepped closer to the displays. But why hasn't this technology been deployed on a wider scale? Because it's flawed. Webb's voice carried notes of disgust. The Empire's synthesis destroys the very thing that makes consciousness valuable: individuality, creativity, the spark of rebellion that drives progress. Their collective is brittle, unable to adapt or grow. It's a dead end disguised as evolution. Elena forced herself to watch as the displays showed more worlds, More populations reduced to biological machines. How long before they perfected? Months, perhaps weeks. Our attack on their third fleet was as much intelligence gathering as destruction. They are mobilizing resources from across the galaxy for something they call the Final Unity Protocol. The chamber's displays shifted, showing massive fleets converging on strategic positions throughout known space. Elena recognized the formation, a galaxy-wide deployment designed to strike every inhabited system simultaneously. They mean to convert everyone at once, she breathed. Within a single day, if their plans succeed. Every free world, every resistance cell, every independent thought crushed into their perfect order. Webb's form solidified, becoming fully human for the first time since they'd met. This is why we've revealed ourselves. This is why we need allies who understand the stakes. Patel had been studying the technical readouts. Admiral, your synthesis technology, how is it different from theirs? Webb smiled, and Elena saw genuine warmth in the expression. Come with me. He led them to an alcove where a figure sat in meditation, a woman with Asian features and silver hair. As they approached, she opened her eyes and smiled. Captain Vasquez, I'm Dr. Sarah Kim. I've been hoping to meet you. Elena stared. But you're part of Admiral Webb's collective consciousness. I am, and I'm not. Dr. Kim stood gracefully. Watch. She walked to another alcove where a man with dark skin and kind eyes worked at a quantum mathematics equation. Captain Santos, would you join us? The man looked up, his face brightening. Of course, Sarah. Captain Vasquez, welcome to our strange home. Elena looked between them, trying to understand. You're individuals, but you're also connected, Dr. Kim finished. We chose to link our minds while preserving our unique perspectives. Admiral Webb coordinates our collective actions, but each of us retains our personality, our memories, our individual will. We are many in one, separate and unified. Torres stepped forward. What does it feel like? Captain Santos considered the question. Imagine never being alone with your thoughts, but never losing yourself in a crowd. I know what Sarah is thinking about quantum mechanics, but I also know she prefers coffee over tea and misses the mountains of old Korea. We share knowledge and purpose while keeping our souls intact. Elena felt something shift in her understanding. The Empire's version erases the individual to create unity. Your version preserves the individual while adding connection. Exactly, Webb said, his voice now clearly composed of multiple harmonious tones. But this choice cannot be forced. Each person must decide freely, and some will choose to remain individual. Both paths have value, both deserve protection. Dr. Tanaka was practically vibrating with excitement. The neural pathways, the quantum entanglement protocols, this is impossible by everything we know about consciousness. Dr. Kim laughed. Impossible by human limitations. But we're not entirely human anymore, are we? We've become something new, something that can stand against the Empire's vision of forced unity. Elena walked to the center of the chamber, feeling the weight of decision. Around her, the displays continued showing the Empire's preparations for galactic conquest. Every free world, every person who still thought their own thoughts, would be consumed unless someone stopped them. What do you need from us? She asked. Webb's form shifted, becoming more solid, more real. Time. The scattered resistance movements must be contacted, warned, united. Our fleet can challenge the Empire's military might, but we need allies who understand the living galaxy we're fighting to preserve. Elena looked at her crew. Chen's tactical mind was already working through the implications. Dr. Tanaka was fascinated by the possibilities. Patel seemed concerned but determined. Torres looked overwhelmed but resolute. And after the war? Elena asked. If we win, what happens to the galaxy? Captain Santos answered. Freedom to choose. Some worlds might embrace synthesis, others might remain individual, still others might find paths we haven't imagined. The goal isn't to impose our vision, it's to preserve the right to have different visions. Elena nodded slowly. The choice was clear, even if the path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty. Then we're with you. All of us. But even as she spoke the words, she wondered if any of them truly understood what they were agreeing to fight for. 3 weeks later, Elena stood on the command deck of the synthesis, the flagship of humanity's impossible fleet. The ship itself was a fusion of organic curves and crystalline structures, grown as much as built, alive in ways that made conventional engineering obsolete. Through the viewports, she could see the Resistance Armada gathering, hundreds of ships from dozens of species, united by desperation and hope. Final intelligence reports confirm it. Admiral Webb announced to the assembled fleet commanders. His voice carried across the quantum communication network to every ship in the Armada. The Empire launches the final Unity protocol in 18 hours. Every inhabited system in the galaxy will be targeted simultaneously. Elena studied the tactical displays floating around them. The Empire's forces were massive. Thousands of capital ships, millions of fighters, Unity nodes ready to broadcast their consciousness-crushing signal across the galaxy. Even with the Lazarus fleet's advanced technology, the numbers were overwhelming. The key is simultaneous strikes, Webb continued. The Unity network requires all nodes to be operational for the protocol to work. If we can destroy even one-third of them, the entire system will collapse. Commander Zara of the Setian Liberation Front raised a concern that echoed Elena's own fears. Admiral, your synthesis technology is impressive, but can it really stand against an entire galactic empire? Webb's form flickered, and suddenly the voices of all 20 million synthesized humans spoke in harmony. We are the dreams and nightmares of an entire species, Commander. We are every human who ever looked at the stars and refused to surrender. Today, we discover if that's enough. Elena felt a chill at the collective voice, but also a strange comfort. These were her people, transformed but not lost, evolved but not erased. She touched the neural interface they'd offered her, not full synthesis, but a tactical link that would let her coordinate with the fleet while retaining her individual identity. Captain, Dr. Tanaka's voice came through the ship's communication system. She'd remained on the Defiance, leading a team studying the Unity node technology. I'm detecting massive energy buildups at the primary nodes. They are beginning the initialization sequence early. Elena's blood turned to ice. How early? 6 hours, maybe less. Captain, if they complete the protocol before we can stop them. Elena closed her eyes, feeling the weight of every free soul in the galaxy. 6 hours to cover distances that should take days, to coordinate attacks across thousands of light years, to preserve the right to individual thought and feeling. Webb, she said simply. The Admiral's consciousness touched hers through the neural link, and suddenly Elena could feel the vast network of synthesized humans throughout the fleet. Each one was distinct. Dr. Kim's scientific curiosity, Captain Santos's tactical brilliance, millions of others contributing their expertise to the collective effort. But beneath it all, she felt a unified determination to protect what made life worth living. We're ready, Webb said, his individual voice cutting through the collective harmony. All ships, engage fold drives. Target parameters uploading now. The universe twisted around them as hundreds of ships entered folded space simultaneously. Elena felt the synthesis responding to her thoughts as much as her commands, the ship's living systems adapting to her needs before she could articulate them. Through the neural link, she experienced the battle from multiple perspectives. The Lazarus and her sister ships materialized in the heart of Imperial space, their reality-bending weapons carving through defensive fleets like hot knives through ice. But the Empire responded with their own terrible tools, planet crackers that could shatter worlds, gravity weapons that turned stars into bombs. The Defiance led a strike team against the Unity node orbiting Proxima Centauri. Elena watched through quantum-linked sensors as her old ship danced between Imperial dreadnoughts, its upgraded weapons cutting through armor that should have been impenetrable. But enemy fire was taking its toll. Hull breaches, failing systems, crew members fighting with desperate courage. Elena. Webb's voice cut through the battle's chaos. The primary node. We need to hit it now. Elena looked through the synthesis's sensors and saw their target, a structure the size of a moon, covered in transmitters that pulsed with malevolent light. Unity signals were already broadcasting from dozens of smaller nodes, and she could see the effects on nearby Imperial ships. Their crews moved with mechanical precision, their individual personalities being ground away by the collective consciousness imposed from above. Take us in, she ordered. The synthesis accelerated toward the primary node, reality bending around its passage. Imperial forces converged on them, 1,000 ships determined to protect the Emperor's vision of perfect order. Energy beams that could vaporize planets splashed harmlessly against the synthesis's adaptive hull, but the cumulative damage was mounting. Through the neural link, Elena felt casualties throughout the fleet. Ships destroyed, brave beings dying to preserve the freedom of beings they'd never met. The weight of command multiplied by the scope of the stakes nearly crushed her spirit. Then Dr. Kim's voice whispered through the link, "Elena, look around you." Elena opened her awareness beyond the immediate battle and gasped. Across the galaxy, the Resistance wasn't just fighting, it was winning. Species she'd never heard of were rising up against Imperial occupation. Worlds thought conquered were throwing off their chains. The Unity Protocol, meant to enslave the galaxy, had instead triggered the greatest liberation in galactic history. "One shot," Webb said as they approached the primary node. "That's all we get." Elena felt the synthesis charging its main weapon, not the reality-tearing beam of the Lazarus, but something else. Something that resonated with every free mind in the galaxy, amplifying their collective will to remain individuals while working together. "For everyone who chooses their own path," Elena whispered. The weapon fired, and Elena felt it carrying the hopes and dreams of billions of beings. The Unity node shields flared and died. Its transmitters went silent. Across the galaxy, the chains of forced consciousness shattered, leaving only the choice between isolation and voluntary connection. In the aftermath, as the Imperial fleet surrendered or fled, Elena stood looking at Earth through the synthesis's viewports. The blue world hung in space like a promise, that even the darkest times could give birth to new possibilities, that destruction could become transformation, that the future remained unwritten. The galaxy was free to choose its own destiny. And that, Elena thought, was the most human victory of all.